1 week down, whole season to go. I'm Brendon Hodges. This is The Review. CBB Review's flagship podcast, back after a short hiatus. And you know what? I'm not going to apologize for it either. I have had a major change in my life. I moved halfway across the country and just wanted to watch some college basketball this week. And the moving also made it hard to record and get everything put together logistically. So apologies for that, even though I don't really need to say it because I'm sure a lot of you go through the same stuff as well. Now, there have been some big developments just in college basketball in general. We've seen a lot of big games. Special thanks to our staff, by the way. If you guys don't know this already, we have writers from all over the country. They go to all sorts of different schools, or they're in the professional world doing something else, maybe even completely different, but they still care about pushing content out to you guys, whether they're on site at Wichita State or the Champions Classic, or probably like UC Riverside. I don't know. Maybe somebody's out there. We'll be continuing to bring that sort of stuff to you, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter or here on The Review, Matt's Madness. A lot of stuff going on this season, and we're super excited to bring it all to you. We have a new debutante coming on the show today. We'll introduce him in just a bit. But first, by the way, repping the Bellarmine Knights today. My Bellarmine Knights, my sister's Bellarmine Knights, even though they've sort of struggled through the first two games. It was against Purdue and Murray State, so not like anybody wasn't expecting that. They have Gonzaga coming up next, and I think it's safe to assume we'll be seeing a little more of the same, because you can't guard a guy who's like 7 feet tall if you don't have a guy who's 7 feet tall. Just being honest with you. We're not going to talk about Bellarmine today, but hopefully maybe in the future. Garrett Tipton was a great interview in our last episode, if you watched that. If not, go to our YouTube page, CBB Review on YouTube, or find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, where you'll find all of our podcasts. Starting 5 today, there is one big story in college basketball this season. And it's a story that's been told over the course of 46 years, over 1,100 wins, a handful of national championships, and possibly, if this year works out well for this man, a handful of championships plus one. It's thanks to not a bunch of guys, really. You think about the Christian Laettners, Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill, Grayson Allen, Jahlil Okafor. Whether or not they played well in the NBA, there have been stars after stars after stars that have gone through the Duke basketball program. And it wasn't always that way. All of this success that this man has had might not have happened. He started his career at Army, worked his way to Duke. He's been there ever since. And he has been the one constant in a program that has adapted to the ways of the modern college basketball era. Long gone are the years of guys who stay at a school for 4 years before they get drafted or go play overseas. Now it's the era of the one and done. And Coach K, a man whose name I still, for the life of me, cannot spell, has changed better, in my opinion, than any coach ever in the game of Division I college basketball. There was a time when he didn't do the whole one and done thing. He had his guys. You think of a guy like Quinn Cook or Mac Jones. They were there for forever. They were like the Case Keenum of college basketball. It seemed like they were at a school for 7 years before they moved on to the pros. And Quinn Cook made some plays in the NBA. I don't even know what happened to Mac Jones, honestly, but he was a solid player for a national championship team. And the fact that a coach can be as good a leader as to have those star one and dones, your Zions, your RJ Barretts, your Paolo Bancheros, if you want to talk this year, while also having guys like, I'm struggling to think of some, Alex O'Connell, even though he transferred to Creighton, he was there for a bit. Grayson Allen there for 4 years. Jack White, honestly, like most forgettable guy ever because he was hot and cold, but you get my drift. A coach being able to mesh those two together is huge. And that comes with the experiences he's had. It's come with all of the years of coaching, picking the brains of his mentors, teaching to people who consider him their mentor. He's the constant in college basketball. His career is twice my lifetime. I don't know a college basketball without Coach K. I didn't know a college basketball without Roy Williams until this year. I will be able to say the same for John Calipari and Rick Pitino, despite their flaws, until they retire. I won't be able to say that about Jim Boeheim until he retires. But there is something different about Coach K. Duke is the bad boy, despite being this prestigious school in the middle of Durham, North Carolina. Everybody hates them. And while I get it, because there are teams I hate who are the blue bloods of their sports, let's say the Yankees, the Cowboys, well, whatever. You can't help but respect what Coach K has done there. This farewell tour of his, it's going to be unlike anything we've ever seen. Bob Knight is a legend, but I don't think there has ever been a coach who has been more respected, but also more liked than Coach K. Maybe not by the Duke Chronicle, shout out economic majors, but more liked by his peers, more respected by his peers. You're going to see him go into Chapel Hill and get a standing ovation. Most likely from players who he coached against. I wouldn't be surprised if MJ showed up and congratulated Coach K, because even though I'm sure MJ hated the man when he was playing at North Carolina, he respects what he does because he wins. Roy Williams will probably be there. I don't know if Duke comes up to the Carrier Dome, but there will be a modicum of respect that every fan base in the ACC, every fan base that he visits this season, will give him. There will be a moment every away game that he gets. That's not even to mention the success with Olympic basketball. Man probably had a chance to go pro a while ago, didn't take it. And yet he still coached those professional players to 3 straight gold medals. Coach K is the GOAT. I checked on this actually a couple days ago. There is no active coach who is going to catch him in wins, at least for a very long time. And yes, some of that has to do with NCAA restrictions and the taking away wins from guys like Jim Boeheim, but that's besides the point. You will not find a better coach, maybe even in a lifetime, than Coach K. That's my starting 5, and with that, we'll bring in our Duke apologist. He is currently in Madison, Wisconsin, having come off watching Wisconsin beat Northwestern. I believe they did yesterday. He is nodding his approval. He is a morning producer at WKOW in Madison, Wisconsin, but also focuses on the ACC, if I'm getting that right. He is Collin Speicher, joining us on season 2, episode 3 of the review. Collin looking like he's in his room right now, though it looks like a hotel room with that painting behind the bed.
It's kind of nice.
It is. Is that like a fjord with a sailboat there, or is that like Chesapeake Bay?
No, so I've always wanted to be able to get, my sailing license. So this was kind of just, what, let's throw something above the bed. We got a nice little bit of yarn right here. A little shout out to whoever my boaters are, I guess. It's a lifelong dream. One day I will have a nice sailboat like that one.
For the YouTube audience, I have a monitor off to my right side that I can actually see Collin on. So when I'm talking to him, I'm going to look there. My rundown is right in front of me, though. Sam Bass was supposed to join us today, and there was a very good reason for that. However, he chickened out. So if he does come on later, screw you, Sam. Go get out of your bed and come join us. But also, we'll be able to talk a little trash about him later. We'll go ahead, as we will. The season, Collin, started off in the biggest way possible. It always does. Champions Classic, you have your Kentuckys, your Kansas, your Dukes, but then you put Michigan State in there, and it's a crapshoot. You never know what's going to happen. Our Matt Majinski was there. He also couldn't join us today because we rescheduled and he had to work obligatory obligation, something like that. Champions Classic, though, was fantastic. Let's focus on the other game real quick. Michigan State, Kansas. Kansas was our number one team coming into the season. I'm not sure if Ariel put in like 60 votes to make that happen, but Kansas looked like the top team in our power rankings, at least in the way they beat Michigan State.
I think the win kind of solidified where we thought they would be. Their depth was something that was able to show out. And I said this in Matt's podcast that we recorded the other day, that I don't think Michigan State has had it for a little bit. So maybe it was kind of a gimme win. But I think Bill Self and Kansas really showed that they have the depth that they need to have. They can give the ball to anybody on the court and they can go and score. And I think with the Big 12, there's always that 1-2 conference losses that kind of make you question it a little bit. But I think Kansas probably has the best chance to come out as not just the regular season champion, but also the tournament champion, given coming off of a season where Baylor won it all. But I mean, that Baylor team is not near the same as they were last year. So I think Kansas very well deserves our number one. And I don't think they're going to pass Gonzaga, especially after last night, but Kansas is a good team to keep your eye on for the entire season.
Oshae Abaji, 29 in that game, 3 guys in double figures, but also 4 guys off the bench, giving some points to the Jayhawks in that game. That's enough for Ariel Putterman's team. Kansas had a good weekend. Let's just leave it at that.
They did.
Not just in basketball, but he's going to give us an earful.
Oh, he will.
The game of the night, though, because it was between two teams who were so closely ranked at the start of the season. At the time, number 10 Kentucky. At the time, number 9 Duke. That'll change. Probably not by not much for Kentucky because it's not a bad loss to take to Duke. And it was just last season, by the way, that I was arguing the one and dones were having the worst seasons that they could possibly have. Now you had your Jalen Suggs out in Gonzaga, but you also had the Duke one and dones who were struggling. Duke missed the tournament outright last year. Their one and dones this year showed up to play in the first game of the season against Kentucky in a big way, and were really the reason that they won this game. Trevor Keels had 25. Paolo Banchero showed out in his first collegiate action as well.
Yeah, the 2 star freshmen combined for 47, and then I think we also need to take into consideration that Duke on this team, they also have upperclassmen that can lead. For example, Wendell Moore had a phenomenal game all around, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. And, let's not forget about the sophomore, which I think I said on the other podcast. I really believe this. Mark Williams for Duke is the first true big man Coach K has had since Jahlil Okafor. I mean, against Kentucky, he had 6 rebounds, excuse me, along with 3 blocks, 2 steals. And then you have people that can come off the bench, like the new transfer, Theo John, or you can have Joey Baker, who last year was a starter, and now he's able to come off the bench and provide a little bit of spark in the depth for Duke. And you were talking about Coach K's farewell tour. I want to hit on it a little bit. I've been a Duke fan my entire life. That's why I write about Duke. My mom went there. Almost my entire family went there. My mom's side of the family. So I'm the lone one out. But I've watched them for a very long time. I'm excited to see what this team can do because I feel like it has a lot of potential going into the season. And if you look back at the 2015 team when Duke won it all, they had upperclassmen like Emil Jefferson and Quinn Cook leading. They also had key freshmen like Tyus Jones and Justice Winslow. And, like I mentioned, the true big man in Jahlil Okafor. And this team, if you look at it, top to bottom, they check off those boxes. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do. But starting off the season, a strong win against Coach Cal in Kentucky, a cruise of a win against Army. A little shaky last night against Campbell. Well, I hope we don't have to go into that. I was a little worried, but I think Duke, obviously the win over Kentucky is going to be able to get your season off to a hot start, which is what they need to do. I mean, you can't do anything else for Coach K in his farewell tour.
Duke 3-0 at the moment. They have three more relative gimmies against Gardner-Webb, Lafayette, and the Citadel before they get into their first real gut punch of the season. They play Gonzaga live on ESPN. It's a 10:30 start, so I can only assume it's it's versus Gonzaga, but probably in the tournament somewhere, Thanksgiving tournament. They then go to Ohio State just a couple days later before a few more gimmies and then ACC play. Minus that first real test with Gonzaga and Ohio State, where do you see Duke having the most trouble in ACC play?
Yeah, I mean, it's always ACC play. I can't remember a time where Duke went undefeated in ACC play. It's been a very long time. But there's that stretch towards the end of the season where you have Florida State at home. Florida State is a phenomenal in-conference team. I know Sam had them winning the ACC regular season this year. And then you travel to UVA, which I think, despite their rough start, and I really wish Sam was here so I could talk to him a little bit about that start.
He had to answer the call to join the Navy.
So
he's taking your advice and going sailing with the guys who know how to do it.
There we go. And then, obviously you're going to the Carrier Dome, and whenever Duke goes to Pittsburgh, they're a little off. And then, as always, ending the season against UNC. So I think it's that final 5-game stretch to close out the regular season, especially going to ACC tournament play, which will then lead into March. That's where I think they'll have the most issues. But my hope is by that time, the team will be fully meshed, because you always see within the first 5, 6, 7 games of ACC play, Duke usually has one conference loss. So I'm hoping by that time they'll be able to mesh everything. But I mean, those are 5 very good teams to close out the season.
2 other really good teams, not in the ACC, but who we'll see in March regardless. Nova, UCLA, played an early game of the year contender, overtime win for UCLA, preseason number 2, a late one. So, I mean, I know that you're always awake at late nights because you are a morning producer, whereas I am the night side guy. So I'm on from 2 to 11 p.m. You're on from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I don't know if you watched it, but your takeaways from 2 teams who we're going to see in March. Matt Carner said in the group chat, it felt like an Elite 8 game because that's what it could end up being. Your thoughts on a resurgent, really, UCLA program who had struggled over the past few years. Then Matt Cronin comes in, takes him to a Final Four last season. I believe they went to the Final Four. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And Villanova is just your constant contender in the Big East. Your thoughts from that game?
This game really surprised me. I think this was the game that UCLA had to come in and kind of be like, last year wasn't just a fluke. I think Villanova is a very strong team, obviously being led by senior Collin Gillespie. And you said it best, they are always a constant contender. It seems like they've gotten to the Sweet 16, even the Elite 8, almost year after year after year for the past handful of years. So going into this game, I thought Villanova had it. I'm not even going to lie. But UCLA, not just to me, I'm sure to a lot of other people, definitely were surprised at how they were able to handle it. I mean, going into overtime, their last overtime game, they lost against Gonzaga, against a buzzer beater from Jalen Suggs. So going into overtime, I'm sure I'm not the only person that had that in the back of their head. But UCLA surprised me. I wasn't able to catch most of it, but from what I did see highlight-wise, I don't know, maybe this UCLA team is going to make another run. I don't want to discredit Villanova at all. Villanova is a phenomenal team. Jay Wright knows what he's doing. They will always get back on track like they typically do. But UCLA deserves attention this year.
They really do. And they bring back all that experience that I'm not going to say they're going to make another Final Four run, but they're certainly a favorite in the Pac-12. And for the most part, we've been saying Oregon was that over the last couple of years, or
Yep.
Arizona State, and then they always tend to disappoint us like Pac-12 teams do in really any sport. Those are our really big topics for today. Now we'll get into the really fun stuff, starting with the top plays of the week. I'm just going to call it Let's Review because there's only so much that you can play off of the review with.
Love it.
So, Collin, we'll go ahead and give 2 top plays of the week each. There were plenty of them, and because you are the guest and I am the humble host, very generous, yet also snarky to all who come on, I will let you lead us off on Let's Review our top plays of the week.
So last night in Duke's game, I always find a way to watch at some point. It was early in the first half. Duke was down early, and I think this is kind of what was able to get them mentally back into it. Trevor Keels dives on the ground for a loose ball, passes up to Justin Roach for an acrobatic and one. Obviously a little biased as a Blue Devil fan, but I think that definitely flipped the switch for Coach K and his team. That's when the defense started clicking again. And Justin Roach, who doesn't get a lot of attention, especially as a starter on this team, he had a good game. So I think that personally for me is a little bit of a biased top play.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that it started with a guy diving on the floor. In my many basketball days, meaning high school, Class 1 varsity, state of Missouri, I found myself on the floor quite a bit for a myriad of reasons, not always good ones. But I'm going to go with a bit louder of a top play here. I have a friend, by the way. His name's Brian Barnes. Shout out Brian Barnes. Ithaca College grad, Syracuse Saltcats staff member as well from this past summer. He is now at Wichita State doing creative content. And their first game of the season, I don't think it ended the way they quite expected at least. They didn't want it to be as close as it was. But man, they should be thanking their lucky stars. They have Tyson Etienne. Preseason AAC Conference Player of the Year, casually bringing the ball up the floor, tie ball game, logo 3, absolutely drains it. Shockers get the opening night win. And my buddy Brian was on the baseline under that basket, not under the basket, but in the corner on that side of the court. And unfortunately, his shot, there was a defender who got in the way as he was kind of running back down the floor towards the huddle. But well done, Brian. Well done, Tyson Etienne. That's my first top play of this past week.
All right, so for my number 2, I want to mention.
You gotta mute all your tabs.
I do want to mention more of a. What's that? Sorry.
You gotta mute all your tabs.
I know, that's what I'm trying to do. They keep popping up. I swear. You know how ESPN has that thing where it's like they just decide to play videos whenever you want.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, am I supposed to mute my entire computer and not be able to hear you?
Well, just like if you right click on all your tabs, it should say mute site, and it'll just mute indefinitely.
Click. I have a Mac. So this is going to be a little difficult for me.
That's okay. IT help here with Brendon. Matt, can we make a graphic up with that?
Can we make a graphic?
IT time with Brendon. Put the videos of these top plays in there while you're at it. Matt Majinski, of course, the boss man. We love him. We love making fun of him. And we love ripping him to shreds on his supposed namesake debate show. I still believe it should be Maddie's Madness and not Matt's Madness, by the way.
Hey, I'm right there with you. I'll second that.
Maddie is
a little bit
an
of a
incredible host. Let me tell you, she is incredible. Check it out, Matt's Madness on CBB Review. I don't know if it's on the .com, but it's on YouTube for sure. Check that out. Matt gets shredded every week. I believe you said you did this one for this week, right?
I did. And I had some fun with it. Him and Sam called me out last week, and I answered the call.
Was this before or after Sam's first favorite team lost to Navy?
This was before.
Okay. You should know Sam Bass is very rickety when it comes to consistency and loyalty. He says the Hoos are his favorite team, but he also says Ohio State's a perennial national championship contender. And he's also a very big Texas Longhorns fan, Sam. Very big. Yeah. He's no horns down guy. He's definitely a horns up guy.
No, but for I do want to throw in an honorable mention after we do our top
Yeah,
two
for
plays.
sure. Absolutely.
My other play though, I'm never gonna be able to figure. We're gonna have to get Ario on here, kind of give me an English lesson on how to say this last name. Agbachi,
Abaji. Yeah.
Baji. That alley oop he threw down against the Spartans, I got me kind of out of my seat. I thought that was a lot of fun. Obviously, it was an easy. I'm going to continue to say that probably for the entire season, just to get on Ariel's nerves a little bit. That against Michigan State, the Champions Classic, they're usually the odd one out, so I'll give it as an easy win. But that alley oop, you saw the Kansas bench. Everybody
Yeah.
was excited about that one.
Alley oops are the most exciting play in any sport.
Any
You
sport.
think of like a big postseason home run, it doesn't even touch that. And this is a regular season game. College basketball is fantastic, and one of the many reasons why, as we head to my second top play, are the upsets. And this is what I mentioned in our last episode. And Bellarmine was my poster child for this. Of course, things haven't gone well for them. Swords up, Knights. Let's go. Let's get something done this week. JP Mormon, UC Riverside. Had no idea that was a school, if I'm being honest with you, before this week. And that is why we love college basketball, because things happen. So they're playing Arizona State. We love Arizona State every preseason, and they're like the Atlanta Falcons. They always come back to bite us in the end. So let's go 2 minutes into the game. 144 left. Luther Muhammad, Arizona State gets a bucket. They're up 2 with 2 seconds left. 1.7 to be exact. And JP Mormon, the tweet that their men's basketball page sent out, their what's the word? Their title was, I am reading it quote for quote here, all caps, LDK, SJF, KL, colon, semicolon. I'll leave it at that. It went on for that for a while. Mormon has the ball at his own 3-point line, takes one dribble, just throws something up. And of course, it goes in. That is why we love college basketball. You mentioned the Jalen Suggs shot. That was on a bigger stage, but you see these like every other week. You just don't expect it in the first game of the season. So JP Mormon, congratulations. You are on Let's Review Top Plays. And then your honorable mention.
I kind of want to go. I think we're going to talk about this. I sure hope we do. But Gonzaga, Texas last night, not just a top play, but a top performance. Drew Tim, 37 points.
It's Timmy.
Sorry, I'm not a Gonzaga person. I could go on and on about
Dude, you
Gonzaga.
are good. Yeah.
But no, I mean, 15 for 19 from the field. He missed his only 3-pointer, but we won't get into that. It's still a phenomenal game.
He missed his only
37
3-pointers, so his performance is that much worse because
Yeah,
he missed his only
exactly. Exactly. No, but 15 for 19. I'm not too great at math that quickly, but what? That's like 75%.
Over 75%.
75?
Yeah.
He was lights out against a Texas team that, was in the game for a decent amount of time as well. So not just a top play, but a top performance. Drew Timmy, thanks for hopping on the review's top plays.
You know what? I will give an honorable mention as well. Butler was in trouble.
They were
last night. They were down 3 going into the half. And we've seen Butler take their fair share of last-second shots. Gordon Hayward against your Duke Blue Devils back in the national championship. Very close. So close.
It's like nightmare fuel right there.
Roosevelt Jones, while it wasn't a half-court shot, it was a steal against Gonzaga, and it was a turnaround like floater for the win. I'm gonna botch this guy's last name, Bryce Zay. I'm gonna guess the end.
It sounds right. It sounds right.
80 feet. Just chucks this ball. It's out of his hand with 1/10 of a second. Like, fingers on it just a little bit longer, it doesn't count. But
Right.
it goes. That's the first 19 minutes, 59.9 seconds of that half were terrible. They then shot like 70% from the field in the second half to make it not so close. But congratulations, Bryce Zay. Welcome to Top Plays on the review. And since you mentioned it, I didn't actually have it planned to talk about it, but we can talk about Gonzaga and Texas for a bit. It was one of our top games of last week, honestly. We didn't do the podcast. It would have been on there, but Chris Beard is going to do a great job at Texas like he did at Texas Tech. I like the beard he's got going now. It makes him look a little rougher and tougher around the edges. And Texas needs that because their identity in any other sport would be rough and tough. Let's get things going here. We're Texas, we're UT, we're burnt orange. We're not like the pretty orange, but we're blue chip. Let's get it going. And Gonzaga put it to them in the first half. Yeah. They really did. And it just goes to show that you have a guy like Drew Timme who is hella experienced. He's ready to go. Gonzaga and Mark Few. I kind of wish they would go to the Pac-12.
Thank you. I'm not the only person. Okay, cool.
I wish they would go to the Pac-12.
Cool.
Even if it was just for basketball. Everything else, stay in the WAC. I don't care.
That's how I am.
Please.
You need competition.
Not only would it build up the pedigree of the Pac-12, it would just make it so much more fun. Like
so much more fun.
Who wouldn't want to see Gonzaga against Oregon twice or Gonzaga against UCLA again? Like, we're not going to see that until the tournament. Yeah.
No, I'm the same way. That was one of our topics on my podcast last year when we were talking college basketball. Every single year I will never take Gonzaga seriously until they're in a good conference. Like everyone has.
They have the number one recruit. You just can't.
7 feet tall and can shoot from.
He also needs to eat. Feet out. Like, he does need to eat 70,000 calories. Like holy cow, Chet. So I went to school in Minnesota, so I got to see. I didn't get to see them live, but I saw all the highlights of him and Jalen Suggs like playing together. Ridiculous.
It had to be
unbelievable. And this guy's like 7 foot, like 130. Mm-hmm. He's basically a point center.
That's what I'm worried about. I know we're not too much supposed to talk about the NBA, but it's going to be interesting to see him transition. Obviously, he may be the number one pick, and I think it'd be really fun to see him with like Jalen Green or Cade Cunningham. Ooh. It'd be a lot of fun.
See, I feel like he'll bulk up a little bit, but he's not going to bulk up to more than like 210.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that might even be too much.
How big is KD weight-wise? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I want to say maybe like 170, 180. It's a lot. It's got to be a lot from the height.
240.
No way. KD's 240.
KD is 240. Chet Holmgren is currently 195 listed. There's no way.
Dang. I'm 165. I feel small.
Bro, I'm 210. I feel small. No, he's a great player.
Wait, which surprises you more right there? Holmgren or KD?
Holmgren. He looks like he's 160, so get wet. Dude, like I can see KD being like over 200 because of the NBA like strength program, you know, like those guys.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But like Chet Holmgren, like he just looks, he's a stick.
He is.
Maybe his jersey is just like super like loose,
baggy.
Yeah. That's wild.
No, all right, but back to Texas Gonzaga. First, I love what you said about they're not, the fun, simple orange like Clemson. I had to throw Clemson in there because I went to South Carolina, despise Clemson. So I love that you were like, no, we're burnt orange. We're the real orange. But in that first half,
here's the thing. I have no, like I say burnt orange is the real orange. I went to a school that wore orange. And it was like the brighter orange, but it works because you have navy blue with it and you have a white. that I will never bash on like regular orange. I just the way that burnt orange looks.
It
and
just
the way
looks
that
so much
it
better.
matches Texas's identity to a T.
And you know who else matches it? Matthew McConaughey.
Jesus.
Having him on your bench, I mean, come on.
Unless you're Texas football because you can't win with him. There's your one Kansas shout out, Ariel.
Yeah, we had to throw it into him at some point. No, but I mean, at halftime, you're down 20. Gonzaga puts up almost 50 in one half. The game didn't look entertaining at that point. And the second half, they came out and they almost put up 50 themselves. But at that point, they had no answer for Drew Timme. And I mean, I wasn't huge on him being National Player of the Year, but the way he's playing thus far, and if they just keep rolling over teams, especially a top 5 team like this, it might be just a unanimous kind of deal.
Bold prediction here, Matt. Get the bell ready, or the fire siren or whatever. Drew Timme gets drafted to Jalen Suggs, Orlando Magic. How fun would that be?
I would love that. The Magic are kind of nice this year. Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter.
I haven't
Anthony
paid attention to the NBA really until college basketball ends. I like college basketball more than the NBA. And this is coming as a Sixers fan. So
we have a lot more to talk about, my friend. I feel like we need to do a little NBA talk.
Another time. Anyway, we are through with Texas Gonzaga. We'll head to our 3-point play now. Collin, of course, the debutante today, has no one to go up against. So we'll go ahead and just give him all 4 questions, despite everybody else not coming on. Did you bring a whiteboard or paper or a marker? Or there we go. There we go. All right. So 3-point play, you know how it works. 3 questions, each worth 1 point of your 3-point play. If you get all 3 right, you usually go to the 4th question. Because you're the only one here and you're a debutante, I'll give you a gift. And we'll do that. Chances for bonus points today as well. So Matt, Sam, should have come on. You really could have helped yourselves out here, especially since Matt, you suck at it. And Sam, you got upset last year. We'll start with Sam Bass's Virginia Cavaliers. It's mostly about Navy, but I say about Sam Bass's Virginia Cavaliers to spite him as well. Navy's season opening win against number 25 Virginia was their first win over a ranked opponent in 35 years. Best player on that Navy team? Say it for me, Mr. Speicher.
Back in 86?
Yes.
I was hoping you were going to ask what year. I do not know.
It was the Admiral David Robinson. I am shocked you didn't know that. Who was the last ranked team that Navy beat?
I was looking at this the other day because when we were talking about which loss was worse, I talked about, am I allowed to look at my previous notes?
No.
Last ranked team.
I'll give you a hint. It's odd because when I looked this up, it didn't show a ranking, but it's because this game was in the NCAA tournament. It is a team that we have mentioned in this episode.
I want to say in the Pac-12. Am I right about that?
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
I can either confirm.
I've had my issues with volume.
That's an alarm telling me to clock in for my NFL job in 15 minutes. We should be close to done by that time.
Yeah.
I can neither confirm or deny the team was in the Pac-12. I can also neither confirm or deny that the team was in the Big 10, ACC, Big East, or Big 12.
I'm going to go with Colorado's on my head, but I know it's not Colorado. But I'll stay in the Pac-12 and go UCLA.
Well, you were only about 2,000 miles off. The answer, it was a 97-85 win for Navy over the Syracuse Orange in the second round of the NCAA tournament. No defense in the second half of that game, by the way. It was like 32-31 at the end of the first half. So that's 63 points in the first half. There were over 100 scored in the second half, 119 to be exact. David Robinson had 35. He was 21 of 27 from the free throw line. Like, you just couldn't stop him back then. Vernon Butler had 23 for Navy. Pearl Washington for the Orange dropped 28.
Huh.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that. I promise.
There was an
I
article.
know I was
in
really
the
far
Baltimore
away.
Sun. That was where I got it from. The Baltimore Sun had an article referencing Navy's win, and they talked about Navy beating Syracuse way back when.
I can't go 0 for 3. I can't. Not on my debut.
Yeah, well, you get 4 chances, so you're not. Hopefully, you don't go
All
over
right.
4. Anyway, question number 2. We talked about UCLA. They have home court advantage at one of the most historic and storied arenas in college basketball, Pauley Pavilion. Half my question is gone. I don't know why, but I do remember it. When was the last time, and they haven't lost an opener in a minute, but when was the last time that UCLA lost a home season opener? You don't have to tell me well, you can tell me to who, but you don't have to. You just have to give me the year.
Last time the Bruins lost, not just the season opener, but at home.
A home opener, yes.
I want to say it's very recent because they haven't had talent.
But then again, they're also playing cupcake teams a lot of the time. So
How's everybody? Yeah. I'm going to go. Is it 2013?
you're close. It's not 2013. In 2015, 2016, there was a team who everyone fell in love with for certain bench celebrations. They didn't end up making the tournament because they lost in the semifinals. I don't remember to who. Monmouth went into Pauley and beat UCLA in the opener, 84-81 in overtime.
I think my favorite one was when one of their bench guys rolled onto the court. They had 4 guys lined up like this, and one of them started reeling in. They like picked him up and posed for the picture.
Yeah,
we all fell in love with that Monmouth team. Dang.
Yeah. Anyway, we move on to question 3 here, and we're talking triple doubles today as well. Portland's
Triple
Mike
doubles.
Meadows maybe had the best stat line in all of college hoops this past week, not because of the gaudy stat numbers, but because of the fact that he did notch a triple double, 15 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. Who is the all-time record holder for most triple doubles in Division I men's basketball? You get a bonus point if you can tell me how many he has, the all-time leader in women's basketball, and how many she has. Chance for 3 extra points here.
Women's basketball, I'm gonna go Asia Wilson, just because I'm a Gamecock fan, and she was dominant for all 4 years.
The number?
There for 4 years, couple cupcake teams each year. Let's go 27.
All right. And on the men's side?
I feel like I would be silly to not say Wilt Chamberlain.
Did they even keep those stats back then?
And let's just throw 40.
All right. We'll just go through this one by one. So for the men's side, it is BYU's own
Jimmer Fredette.
Kyle Collinsworth.
I would never have gotten that.
Yeah, he has 12. You were very close on one part of the women's side.
Was it the number or the player?
The number.
Dang it.
The player was Sabrina Ionescu.
Oh, okay.
The number was 26.
I was kind of close, wasn't
You were, yeah. 0 for 3 though. To start here, but you are getting the fourth question because you're the only one here.
I have 2 questions for you then after this.
Okay, I'll bite. I'll bite. So, Champions Classic, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan State. They've been the mainstays. No one else is going to come into this, I think. I hope.
I love how it's the 4 blue bloods.
I do. I do
like
too.
that.
Yeah. The event, though, has brought on some of the best games in recent memories. You think of Grayson Allen going off against Michigan State. You think of just a whole bunch of really good games to start the season. And they're previews to tournament time. They're previews to what we may see later in the season as well. List those 4 teams, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, and Michigan State, in order of most wins in Champions Classic play to least.
Okay, Duke is number 1. They're 15-11 against Kentucky. I read that the other day.
They've only played 11 games in the Champions Classic.
Maybe it's 15-11 all time. Most
likely, yes. You have Duke number 1. Who's next?
I still have Duke number 1. I'm going to go Michigan State last.
Okay.
And I think it's fair to say Kansas is probably 2, and then Kentucky.
So in review, you are saying Duke has the most wins, Kansas second, Kentucky third, Michigan State fourth.
Correct. At least tell me I got like 50%.
Well, you got 50%. Times 2, you got 100%. That is correct. Duke 7-4, Kansas 6-5, Kentucky 5-6, Michigan State 4-7 all time in the Champions Classic. It just goes to show it's that close. These teams are all that good. It doesn't matter who's playing. They can win or lose in that situation. 1 of 4, not terrible.
I'll take it. 25%.
Yeah, that you can make a career in the MLB off of that. You said you had 2 questions for me. We'll see how this goes. Nobody has gotten a chance to ask me questions yet, and I don't think I'm going to get either of these right because I like being the trivia giver, not the trivia answerer.
All right. So beginning of the episode, if we track back a little bit, you said you do not know how to spell Coach K's last.
Son of a. Okay.
What is your best guess? And I will write down the answer right now.
My best guess, K.
Yes.
Krzyzewski. Can I skip to the end? SKI?
Yes.
And then work in between? Okay. I think it's like KZC. Sure. KZC E ECYSKI?
ECYSKI. Okay.
I think there's an R in there somewhere too.
There is. I'll give you props for blindly trying to answer my question. You got the K correct.
Obviously, yeah.
You got the SKI correct.
Okay. Just everything in between.
It is KRZYZEWSKI.
Matt, can you make a graphic for that? Just like have it pop
Just
up
like
along.
Spell it out
along with little underscores and everything. Yeah. I think I was listening to an interview with Grant Hill and Dan Patrick, and Dan asked him, like, can you spell Coach? How long did it take you to spell Coach K's name? Or like, what are you going to tell your grandchildren about Coach K? Well, it took me until my junior year to spell his name right. It was just like, yeah, I would have never been able to do that. I probably would have like written it down on my hand at some point if somebody asked me that, so I could just been like,
right.
Yeah. Your second question though.
Yes. So you were talking triple doubles.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
Portland's
Mike Meadows.
Mike Meadows had one this week. There's another player that had one this week.
Oh.
And I've mentioned his name multiple times today.
I'm sure you have. But who was it? I don't think. See, you're probably mentioning this because it was a Duke player.
Am I?
That's a great question. I would do the same exact thing. I like messing with people too. I don't think Keels or Banchero had one. I don't believe Timmy had one.
It is from a top 10 team. I'll give you that.
Oh, okay. Well, that narrows it down, I guess. You didn't mention anyone on Kentucky. UCLA? You didn't mention Juzang. You didn't mention Hodges. You didn't mention Tiger Campbell. Hell, I'm spinning over who all's in the top 10 now. It's Chet Holmgren got close with
He got
blocks,
close, but he
didn't get one.
Yes.
Yeah, there's so many freaking players in college basketball, and they all play at this time of year because they're not playing anybody.
I'll narrow it down to, well, no, I already did. I mentioned him today. It's a top 10 team.
Yeah.
It was like a gimme win. I'll say that as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Damn, I don't know. I'll just say Timmy because why not? Like,
you should have stayed on the Duke path.
I knew it. It was Banchero, wasn't it?
Wendell Moore Jr.
Oh,
19, 10, and 10.
God, I hate you. Okay.
Against Army.
You didn't mention him multiple times. You mentioned him like once.
I mentioned him twice.
Whatever. Okay. Let's get into our game picks as we're closing up the shop here. First of all, thank you to Collin for coming on. We'll see how he fares at game picks, though we haven't really kept track of this ever. But we'll start game starting tomorrow. We're recording this Sunday morning. We go through the game picks from Monday until the following Saturday, which is when we usually record. But again, we had to reschedule today. Collin, who wins between Illinois and Marquette?
So I think it's going to be a good game. I will say that. I think Illinois will go into Milwaukee and win. I think Illinois has already found their rhythm without Ayo Dosunmu. And I think Marquette, solid start to the season, but 6-game homestand, at some point you're going to hit a bump in the road. So give me the Fighting Illini.
Next up, Navy. Midshipmen, well, they couldn't complete the sweep of Virginia after a loss to Virginia Tech. Conversely, though, Louisville coming off their first big shock of the season with a loss against Furman. People call it an upset. As far as we're concerned, anytime you lose to a team in the SoCon, mainly Furman, probably not an upset because they're actually like really good. But the numbers say it is. Matt Waldman says it is not an upset. So, yeah, Navy, Louisville, who are you taking?
Give me Navy.
Oh,
I like the midshipmen.
Oh,
I
you
think
really play into the vanity of all these people who like to sail. You really want that sailor.
I'm telling you, it's right there. I wake up every morning and I see
Which
it.
Great Lake would you go on first?
Lake Michigan.
Okay. Right.
Probably sail. I probably try and sail from Milwaukee over to Michigan.
Okay.
So it's a long trek. I'll tell you that.
I'm sure.
Yeah. No, give me the midshipmen. I think when they played Virginia, they were able to really pick apart that defense, and they were hot from three. And I don't think they're slowing down anytime soon. I think they are a very surprisingly talented team. So give me Navy.
Patriot League's got a couple of teams who can put in the basket. We had Colgate last year. They were a high scoring team that got knocked out of the first round of the NCAAs. You got Navy this year. You have a bunch of teams in that.
Don't forget Army.
Yeah. A bunch of teams that can really make some noise up there.
Yeah.
Oregon State were the Cinderella story of last season. The real 12th man, of course, different sort of 12th man. Everybody picked them 12. You know the story. They're not sneaking up on anyone now. A loss to Iowa State has proven that. Gabe Kalsher went off in that game for the Cyclones. Oregon State 1-1. Now, though, they take on a Tulsa team who just dropped an absolute nail biter to Air Force yesterday. So it's Oregon State and Tulsa. And not a game that a lot of people are going to pay attention to, in my opinion, but a very intriguing matchup nonetheless.
I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to go Oregon State. Straight to the point. I mean, Oregon State is still a Pac-12 team, and I think that'll help them a little bit.
The Battle of Nebraska. Now, while I can't confirm or deny that Creighton and Nebraska holds that title in really anyone's mind, because Nebraska is an afterthought in really everything, I can confirm the rivalry is well and truly a rivalry. It's neck and neck. 47 all-time meetings between the two teams. The one coming up in 2 days' time will be the 48th, and the Blue Jays lead the all-time series 24-23. Does Nebraska tie the all-time series this week, Collin?
No. Give me Creighton.
All right.
Straight to the point. I don't think Nebraska. I think they are getting too much attention this year. I'll say that.
As they always seem to do.
Yes.
This could have been the game of the week, if not for Virginia's loss to Navy. After that opening season loss, as I said at the beginning, Virginia righted the ship, at least so to speak, with a win over the highly competitive, highly dangerous Radford Highlanders. Not. Now, the first real test of the season for the Hoos is now upon them. They head down to Houston to take on last year's Final Four team, the Cougars. They're ranked 15th in the nation. Virginia, until the new poll comes out this week, is still 25 in my eyes. So who wins this one, Virginia or Houston?
Let's not forget, Houston was on upset alert this week as well. But give me the Cougars. Sorry, Sam, but your team, they're in trouble.
Sam's an Ohio State fan. Don't worry. He's got plenty more teams to root for, and a Texas fan as well. So he's got a lot to worry about. So as we're recording this podcast, in about a half hour, actually, Matt Majinski's supposed favorite team, his alma mater, the Seton Hall Pirates, they're getting set to take on Yale, the Bulldogs. Very dangerous Ivy League team. So this could change the fact that they're undefeated because Yale is pretty good in their own right. They then have to get ready for two Big Ten opponents. The first of which, it's Big Blue, baby. Michigan, looking to start 3-0. They're number 6 in the nation. Juwan Howard, one of my favorite coaches in all of college basketball currently. One of the only college coaches that actually works at his alma mater. Matt says Syracuse is his favorite team, but he also roots so hard for Seton Hall.
He does.
Funny story. Last season, we were watching the Big East tournament. I had Matt, who's from Seton Hall, another friend of mine, Dan Waldman, went to Georgetown. We all know what happened because Georgetown won the whole tournament. It was so fun. So fun to see Matt so miserable. Seton Hall, Michigan, your choice, sir.
Blowout, go Blue.
Yes.
Love Michigan. Not only did my mom went to Duke, my dad went to Michigan.
Oh.
So I grew up with a little bit of luck on my side. Go Blue.
That's good. Showing a little bit of Pac-12 love here. Oregon Ducks, their football team, prime position for a college football playoff berth. Their basketball team has been the more dominant focus in the narrative over the past couple of years. Mostly on the men's side, also on the women's side, though. But since we're focusing on the men's scores for this edition of the review, and really we do this for everything because there aren't, we need to talk more women's basketball. We really do.
Have me on.
Yeah, I mean, I would totally do it. We talked a lot of Paige Beckers last year. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about her later this season.
As a Gamecock alum, I love my women's basketball.
For real quick sidebar here. Didn't Dawn Staley send pieces of the net from the national championship to all of the African-American coaches in women's college basketball?
Yes. And she also gave, I think she gave parts in the net to everyone on her staff as well.
Class act.
Down to earth, lady. Down to earth.
Class act. Congratulations to the Gamecocks. Of course, they're hoping to defend their title. They won last year, right? No, they didn't. 2 years. That was 2 years ago.
When was that? We should have won 2 years ago. Last time we won was 2017 with Asia Wilson.
Yeah. Okay. You can tell that it's just all mixes up here. I'm more of a I'm going to be completely honest. I was a football guy. I played football. So I focus on that during this point of the year. And
I don't blame it.
I still love college basketball, but I don't really get into I haven't gotten into the nitty gritty of the past 5 years yet, because we've only been doing this for 2. So anyway, Pac-12 love. Oregon taking on BYU. BYU, another team that first of all, they have literal grown men playing against college kids. Let's be real here. They send them on their sabbatical for 2 years to do their little retreats, and then they come back all jacked and just 25 years old. You're like, who the hell? This guy's not a college kid. What the hell?
Give me the Ducks. I'm high on Oregon this year.
Grown ass men. Jesus. And I can say that because I'm referring to a donkey. Michigan State taking on Butler. Butler gave us the wake-up call of the night last night, 3-quarter court heave. We mentioned it in top plays, catapulted them to a 3-0 start, and now a date with Michigan State. Matchup predictors are calling this one a toss-up. Which side of the coin do you land on, Mr. Speicher?
Sparty. I'm with Sparty. Obviously, I think that first game against Kansas was, what do you expect when you start the season against some of the top teams in the country? It's going to be a wake up call. But Tom Izzo is still Tom Izzo. 2 years ago, they were a Final Four team, and I think that this won't be too challenging for them. And I hope I'm not wrong. Maybe we'll see another 80-foot heave. Who knows?
Perhaps. Ohio State, number 17 in the nation. We're going to go through a little bit quicker here with these next 4. Ohio State at Xavier. Ohio State, 17 in the nation. Your real quick pick.
Xavier.
Arizona State taking on San Diego State. San Diego State, a pretty good team in their own right. They had a couple of near undefeated seasons the past couple of years.
SDSU.
Liberty taking on Rick Pitino's Iona Gales.
It's going to be a good one. Give me Iona.
And the Battle of Georgia, schools not that far apart. Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jackets taking on their in-state rival Bulldogs.
Georgia Tech.
We head into our final 2 games now, both ranked on ranked opponents. It's going to be a great weekend next weekend for college basketball. We're heading into the Thanksgiving Day tournaments. It's going to be fantastic just to do all of that. We start, though, with a team we mentioned earlier, Villanova, ranked 4th in the nation coming in, had that tough loss to UCLA at Pauley. Shouldn't drop them too much in the rankings. They take on a team in the SEC who is slowly becoming a power and really being a consistent power in the Tennessee Volunteers. Both of these teams have games earlier in the week that aren't as interesting. Nova plays Howard. Tennessee plays ETSU. Then they play each other. I know we're looking forward here, but that's kind of what we do here. We look past things because we don't think they'll surprise us, and they do, and look to the dessert. So Villanova at Tennessee.
Give me Nova. Collin Gillespie and Jay Wright.
And finally, our game of the week. North Carolina. Gone are the days of Roy Williams and his Lucky Jackets. Come are the days of Hubert Davis. It's a new era of North Carolina basketball, but they are still the very same team. Big men, get out in transition even after makes and score quickly. Purdue has got size, though, to match up with those dreaded North Carolina free throw tip outs. We all know how dangerous those are. It's at the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off tournament. We'll leave it at that. 19, North Carolina. Number 7, Purdue. Your pick for our game of the week.
I hate North Carolina. I
would expect nothing less from you.
And I still do. Give me the Boilermakers.
not the spoiler makers, but the boiler makers. We'll close up shop here in just a bit. Those were our game picks. Overtime today. We were, oh, hang on. I got a new message in, it was not from Sam. It was from Matt about doing a top 25. I don't partake in that because I am an impartial, very, very impartial host of this flagship podcast, The Review. Catch it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you find your podcasts. As we close up shop here with Collin Speicher, we were going to do a therapy session between him and Sam Bass.
We'll have to reschedule.
We will. I'm going to do a little mini one with you here now, though. So Sam, let me grab my pen here. I have a fake notepad down here. We're going to talk a little bit about your feelings of Coach K leaving after this season, because I know that you're probably very attached to this man. And I can see by the look on your face there that you're very upset that he seems to be leaving your program. But what do you feel about Coach K leaving? Have you accepted that fact yet? Or are you still in denial that the greatest college basketball coach, arguably of all time, is leaving?
Accepted, but empty. That's what I'll say. I don't think college basketball will ever be the same. Coach Cal, has the lifelong contract with Kentucky. Bill Self is going strong. Shaka Smart, even though he's bouncing around, everybody knows who he is. And he's a solid coach. Tom Izzo, even Roy Williams. But Coach K stands above them all. I don't think college basketball will ever be the same. I've been lucky enough to meet him a few times, and he is everything that you would think he is. So John Shire, very excited to see what he can do. I've met him as well. Very knowledgeable about the game. I'm very excited to see what he can do, but nothing will ever compare to Coach K and what he does for Duke, what he does for Cameron Crazies and Krzyzewskiville, and recruiting and just the entire sport of college basketball. So that's what I'll say.
How many gallons of tears will you cry when, in two different situations? If A, the Blue Devils win the national championship in Coach K's final game, or B, the Blue Devils lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament for Coach K's final game?
See, I've done both of these. Remember when Duke lost to Lehigh?
Yes, I do remember that.
That was not a fun night for me. And remember when Duke beat Wisconsin, which is funny because now I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, if Duke wins it all, don't tell my boss this, but I will not be at work. I will be going down. I'll be going down to Durham and celebrating. So those would be a lot of happy tears. Give me like 1.5 gallons of happy tears.
This man's gonna shed his body weight and cry. Oh my god.
But hey, I mean, if we're talking first round, I don't know if I want to say how much I'm gonna cry about that one. A lot.
Fair enough. Your thoughts on the reported change of name of Krzyzewskiville to Shireville after this season?
No. That's like, who can I compare this to? That's like telling me you're gonna change Coach K Court. Like, you can't do that. Come on.
Well, obviously you can't do that.
But
I think what you're looking for is saying that we're going to change the name of the Washington Monument to like the Jackson Monument. I don't know.
There you go. No, yeah, that's very well put. Coach K, the reason Duke has the Ville is because of Coach K.
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever change that.
The future name of your future sailboat as it relates to Duke basketball.
It's a good one. I feel like it's got to be something with Cameron. But I can't just go Cameron Crazy. But it also has to have something with water. So what are we thinking? hear me out. What if I did, this is going to sound weird, but it's a mix of a couple things. My name, Cameron Crazies, and Coach K. Collin Crazy, and you spell it Kollin, and then Crazy, Crazie. Thoughts?
I mean, it's your boat. I'm not going to tell you it's a bad name.
Come on.
I think it works. I do.
Well, we'll take it out on we'll take out Collin Crazy on Lake Michigan when I retire.
Yes. In like 60 years.
Yeah, just give me a little bit of time.
Sam. Finally. Finally. You're on a paintball team with Coach K. And you have the choice of 3 of his greatest players to join you on said paintball team. Only 3. But you're going up against Michael Jordan, James Worthy, Dean Smith, Tyler Hansbrough, and Luke May from a North Carolina paintball team. Who are your 3 warriors that you are choosing to go to paintball war with?
Number 1, JJ Redick. My favorite Duke player all time. 2 others. Give me Grant Hill. I think he would easily be a Hall of Famer if it wasn't for injuries. 1 more. I feel like it's got to be someone unexpected. I have a phenomenal threat shooter. I have someone that can bully. So I need a playmaker. Kyrie, when he was back on Duke.
You heard it here first, folks. Collin Speicher would take injury-prone Kyrie Irving in a paintball match over Grayson Allen, who could trip his opponents and shoot them in the back. That is all for overtime. That is all for this edition of the review. Special thanks to Collin Speicher, who joined us on relatively short notice. He is not often available because of his work schedule, but we would be happy to have you back on, Collin.
Oh, I'll be back, and I will. I'll leave. Nobody listening to this will be able to see it, so you're gonna have to check it out on YouTube. But I'll leave all of our viewers on YouTube with a lovely picture dating back 8 years of me and Coach K. There we go, right there.
There we go. Oh wow, you're shorter. Wow. I'm not gonna lie. I thought you were taller.
Oh, I am taller. This you got to remember. This is 8 years ago.
It's what were you, 14?
Yeah, 14.
God, we're so old.
I know we are. I don't like this.
That was Collin Speicher again. Where can they follow you, Collin? At
Collin Speicher. It's COLLINSPEICHER on Instagram as well as Twitter.
He is a morning producer from WKOW in Madison, Wisconsin. Collin Speicher, thank you for joining us on the review. If you want to catch more episodes, more content from cbbreview.com, you can, go there. First of all, see more of Collin's work, Sam's work, Matt's work, even though they chickened out and didn't join us today. You can find more episodes of Matt's Madness along with the review on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. If you can even listen to things on Anchor, I think you can. I would assume so. You can find more articles, top 10 lists, our All-America list were out a while ago, but I'll plug them now. And you can always come on back here and join me, Brendon Hodges, on CBB Review's flagship podcast. This has been The Review, Season 2, Episode 3. Enjoy the games this week, whether it's football because you don't pay attention to college basketball now. Come on back here, stay a while, and we'll tell you all you need to know. We'll see you next week. Episodes released on Mondays. We record on Saturdays. If you have questions for us, send them our way. If you have videos of your reactions, also send them our way. if you want to send us a question to have in the podcast, take a video of it, DM us, whatever. We'll take it. We'll see what's what. We hope to see you on Instagram Lives in the future, but for now, we're signing off. It's been the review.
Take care.